is simple. Sometimes it would be very painful and very hurtful to us to tell. We've tried. Very often we've tried to tell the truth about many things. We tell the truth that Hashem, God, appeared to us on Mount Sinai, and He gave us a law, the Torah. And we were so zealous over how to keep that law, over how to keep the specific points of that Torah, that law, that we came to God at different times and we said to Him, tell me, how can we specifically and correctly keep, let's say, the law of Shabbat? And God would answer us through Moses, through Moshe, Rabino, Moshe, our teacher. And He would say, tell the people of Israel, this is the way they should observe the Shabbat, so that they will not be guilty of desecrating my day. So that they will be able to observe it as I want them to observe it. And we listen carefully because, the punishment for non-observance or desecration, malicious desecration of the Shabbat. That is desecration after one has been told not to, and after one has been told how to do something and how not to do something, and then to purposely do it the other way. That's called malicious desecration. And for that, the penalty is death. We have many, many sins. Even a murderer. Someone who commits, let's say, first-degree manslaughter. What we would call negligent homicide. Person uses something he knows is dangerous, an instrument he knows he's dangerous, and as a result of using it, maybe an axe with a loose head from the handle, it flies off and it strikes a fellow worker in the head and kills him. Even a worker, even a man like that, who is guilty of negligent homicide, can still flee to a city of refuge and find refuge from the hand of the avenger. Yet one who breaks the Shabbat is condemned to die. So zealous were Israel, all of us, wanting to know how to obey these laws, that the moment that we had something that said you shall not strike a fire, you shall not light a fire, kindle a flame in your habitations, in your dwelling places in Shabbat, we wanted to know what constitutes that. What should we do? What should we not do? Don't work on Shabbat. What constitutes work? Don't plow on Shabbat. What constitutes plowing? Running my fingers in the soil? And many, 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 many more laws. When we came back to Moshe, we said, please, ask Hashem, ask God, how should we obey it? How should we obey the commandment, the mitzvah of the Torah? Moshe did go back to God, and God gave us a secondary Torah, a Torah called the Torah Mishneh. Some call it the Mishnah Torah, in which we received an oral instruction and handed it down from generation to generation on how to implement the Torah. Therefore, the Jewish people not only received the Torah, but we received also a second instruction book alongside of it, which was not really a book, but it was from mouth to ear, that said, this is how you are to observe these laws. And it went from Moshe to Yehoshua, and from Yehoshua it went to the 70 elders, so forth and so on, until it finally came to Yehuda HaNasi, who finally had to put it into a codified written form. Okay? I won't go into the whole history of Judaism. But understand that the Jews are ready to tell the world that we received at Mount Sinai from God's own appearance and from His mouth the Holy Torah. And we received additional instruction teaching us how to observe it. And our rabbis today, Orthodox rabbis today, are the carriers of that authority to teach us the tradition handed down by God to Moses and so forth in an unbroken chain until today. Well, amongst this unbroken chain, the links of the unbroken chain, is a link called the Mashiach, the Messiah. And And I am a rabbi who has been known, and rightly so, to call the name of Yeshua, Yud, Shin, Vav, Ayin in Hebrew, Yeshua, as Mashiach, the Messiah. Somebody may say, then you must have been influenced by the Christians. No, not at all. I never knew Christians when I grew up. I may have known Christian boys, Christian girls, but I didn't know them as Christians. I knew them as boys and girls who maybe were in the neighborhood or whatever. I knew them as non-Jews, but not in a religious sense as Christians. They knew me in a very religious sense as a Jew. However, where did I learn that this one called Yeshua is Mashiach? Where did I learn that he has a place in Israel that is higher and above all prophets, all kings, and all Kohanim, all priests? And I give you the answer. Pashut, simply. I learned it from my rabbis, the rabbis who taught me. I said, wait a minute. How is it that you learned something like that from your rabbis? Simply because they taught it to me. Well, now you can ask me the question, and I hear it coming from the airwaves. If you truly believe in this one Yeshua, isn't he the same one that we Christians call Jesus? And shouldn't you then be a Christian? It's a good question. And I have for you a straightforward answer. You may not like it, but I have an answer. We Jews are never short of answers. I can tell you the truth though, we usually have more questions than answers. The balance sheet is a little tilted in favor of questions over answers. And I'll probably leave you with more questions than answers. But let's go into the answer column. Yes, I learned from my rabbis. And no, I'm not a Christian. And why? Because the personality of the one that the Christians call Jesus is really not the same personality as the one the rabbis teach to their own students, the one who's called Yeshua. Well, in other words, you don't believe in a Messiah. I do believe in a Messiah. And I'll tell you more. You know, my question to those who are not Jewish, what I told you in the beginning, the Gentiles, those who are not part of the Jewish people, my question to the Christian of those Gentiles who asks me, why am I not a Christian? I sometimes look at him and I say, if you truly believe in the Messiah that the Jewish people believe in, and the one that the Jewish people originally attempted to teach to the Gentile world, then why aren't you Jewish? Makes sense, doesn't it? In other words, if you're going to believe in a Jewish concept, and a concept which Mashiach is not only a total Jewish concept, but it embraces the entire Torah. That concept, because the Talmud, by the way, that oral law I spoke about, the Talmud teaches us that the world was not created but only for the Mashiach, and that the prophets, all the prophets, prophesied not but only of the days of the Mashiach. So the concept of Mashiach, Messiah, is a concept that embraces the entire creation